Hi, this is Don Southerton and another week of Everything Korea. Let's just jump right in like we do each week. This week's episode is titled A Roadmap for Creative Class Korea and US. In my previous two posts, we looked at the dynamics required to nurture a creative and innovative workplace. This has been really a subject I've been looking at for the last several weeks, and I will be even next week sending a case study out on this. In particular, the Korean work values, norms, and attitudes surface as polar opposites to the characteristics of the Western creative class workplace. In turn, some core change will be required if Korea aspires to develop a more stronger, sustainable, innovation-driven economy. In fact, the current South Korean president, Madam Park Geun-hye, has recognized this and upon election boldly had proclaimed a creative economy as her platform for Korea's economic growth over her 5-year term in office. Frankly, most in Korea's private and public sector have found this high-level government mandate hard to embrace, in part because the overall concept was difficult to grasp within the current society. And I've pointed out what drives the creative economy is creatives. As well as a unique community that aligns with values and sustains their lifestyles. For example, overhearing a tech startup chat in edgy Golden, Colorado, where I reside, in a coffee shop, Pangea, I quizzed 3 young entrepreneurs who were on why they were meeting in Golden and what they were discussing. The response was 1, lifestyle, and more specifically for one of them, the ability to go rock climbing. 2, access to establishing startup and incubator hubs like those in Boulder and Denver, so proximity. And 3, available local funding for startups, the community quite wealthy. So these were some of the factors of why they would be doing this thing in this community. To give another snapshot, Biz Stone, who's the former Twitter co-founder, shared in a weekly update with his weekly update on his current venture Super.me with his partner Ben Finkel's view on their work culture. So again, this is a very San Francisco innovative startup from the people who actually were behind Twitter. So he says, the world is our oyster. We get to build awesome software, dream up future products, use the best technologies, and get well paid for doing it. There's no handbook, but the challenge is part of the thrill. They secondly mentioned we have tons of flexibility in our work style, no micromanaging, no minimum bureaucracy, and of course we get to improve our work processes. This is another problem we get to collaboratively improve together. And the third point, working with small creative group thinking up and building future products. That has always been our dream. Of course, these products won't always work as planned. We have to adapt, redirect, and persist. So again, another snapshot into sort of this Western style workplace culture. In the future Everything Korea episodes, I'll suggest some steps that Korean companies need to take if they look to build a creative workforce in their domestic Korean divisions. But before I tackle this set of challenges, I'd like to address the needs for overseas Korean operations to be sensitive to the needs, values, attitudes of the creatives in their own local organizations, whether it be in the Middle East or be in India, Australia, Europe, or of course the Americas. So studies show up to 1/3 of the American workforce, for example, is now part of this creative class. The best companies recognize this trend. Sadly, firms that ignore this reality suffer. My big concern is that Korean companies with global operations may fail to recognize this reality too. This reality was well captured by the authors Josh Hammond and his co-author James Morrison in their book, The Stuff Americans Are Made Of. And the authors cite 7 critical cultural forces that define, let's say, for example, Americans. 1, insistence on choice. 2, pursuit of impossible dreams. 3, obsession with big and more. 4, impatience with time. 5, acceptance of mistakes. 6, the urge to improve. And finally, number 7, the fixation on what's new. So trendy, cutting edge, forward-leaning. I feel Korean companies need to recognize and adapt a creative culture in local markets to sustain and recruit this talent. A difficult challenge, even for many American companies, has been, strongly rooted in older workplace norms. Again, quoting Richard Florida, who's an author I follow constantly, many companies are merely presenting a cheap facade of the alternative, and of course I mean the creative work culture. And he says it's a ping pong table or perhaps an espresso machine. And I have seen that in Korean-facing companies globally, that they have a few of these trappings and feel they're going to go and be able to capture this other entity. So for starters, Korean companies need to draw upon local creative class talent, and will find that locating in the right community can be half the battle. This means a locale that embraces diversity and openness, with some edgy counterculture theme thrown in. Interesting, I know there's considerable synergy within the creative class workforce in these communities. So one of the benefits is not just that you're going to be there because it's going to attract these right people. It's also there's a lot of synergy, there's a lot of dynamics going on during the day. And this is, of course, we see this in San Francisco, Austin, Texas, Boulder, and even here in Golden, Colorado. And this is a side benefit for the firm, and it nurtures their workplace. Perhaps the greatest hurdle that for the Korean workplace norms and companies, their practices that are their Korean practices when they're brought overseas don't overpower and overtake the local norms, resulting in a stifling of the very creativity that the Korean company so desires. In the worst cases, top creatives will exit. Those that stay then will make no attempt, and an alternative, of course, is that those that stay will make no attempt to tap their creativity. Again, this is not an easy task, and frankly, one that I spend considerable time as a consultant providing leadership to teams and to their management, both Korean and Western. I provide strategy, workarounds, and solutions, and I do have solutions. More to come on this in future topics. In the meantime, if your company and teams would like to discuss more, I'd be happy to chat. I've found that each company has its own dynamics, and I approach case by case, tailoring to the client. So until next time, oh, and one more thing, I'm back in Southern California and Orange County this week, and then I do have some time open. If you'd like to schedule a chat both globally or virtually, you can go to my meeting site, which is www.meetingme.so/Southerton, or direct questions to the link that we've included in here. So until next time, this is Don Southerton wishing you all the best.